Are you watching closely? Is that what he says in it? Hi, I'm Dillon.
And I'm Ryan.
And welcome back to Adaptation Station, the show where we review books and their movie adaptations. One of us reads the book before watching the movie, the other watches the movie and then reads the book. We give you our recommendation for which order gives you the best experience. And today we're talking about The Prestige.
Yeah, The Prestige.
Oh, and also, before we get started, shout out to Cheryl Brashear.
Oh, right. Yeah, this was a fan suggestion.
Yeah, our second one.
Our second one, our first...
Suggested from a commenter.
Our first official, actual episode. The first
yeah.
suggestion we did as a bonus episode. But this one...
We had not read or watched this one before, either of us, so thank you to Cheryl for commenting that we should do The Prestige. Can you tell them about the book?
Yeah, The Prestige is a fantasy novel written by Christopher Priest in 1995. It tells the tale of two feuding stage magicians in the 1800s in England, and it is kind of unique in the way that it's told through diary entries, kind of as each one, and the way it's structured is like separately. You get a little bit more of the story with each person's telling of the story. Pretty interesting. And on Goodreads right now it has a score of 3.91 out of 5, which is a 7.82 out of 10.
Pretty good. And then The Prestige by Christopher Priest was adapted into a movie in 2006, directed by Christopher Nolan, written by Christopher and his brother, Jonathan Nolan, or adapted into a screenplay. The movie follows pretty much the same plot, the same concept, but it is noticeably in Nolan's filmmaking style, I would say. And if you're not familiar, Christopher Nolan is known for other movies like Memento, The Dark Knight Trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet. His movie version of The Prestige stars Hugh Jackman as Rupert Angier, a.k.a. the Great Danton, Christian Bale as Alfred Borden, Michael Caine as John Cutter, Scarlett Johansson as Olivia Wenscombe, Rebecca Hall as Sarah, and David Bowie as Nikola Tesla. And on Rotten Tomatoes, The Prestige has a critic score of 76% and an audience score of 92%.
Wow.
Yeah, very high. But what's more important than what those people think is what we think. So do you want to get into our scores?
Yes. So I read the book first, and I gave that a 9.0 out of 10.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I watched the movie and gave it a 6.8. out of 10.
Wow. That's interesting because I watched the movie first and I gave that an 8.6 out of 10 for the movie. Yeah. Then I read the book and gave that a 6.3.
Whoa!
Almost opposites for us on this one. So the order must make a big difference. And that being said, here's your spoiler alert because we need to talk about the details of the book and the movie to see which order gives you the best experience. So if you don't want it to be spoiled, skip to the end. We'll give you a time code for the final recommendation.
Well, yeah, basically it seems like that, right?
Yeah.
That's our most common thing is whichever one we do first, we like the most.
Yeah, but it can ruin the other one because it takes the suspense
It's not
away.
always the case that there's this much of a disparity,
You gave the book a 9?
I loved it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Man. But I could see how this could be almost like my take on The Last Duel for you, where if you knew what was going on in having seen the movie, then this could seem way too long.
Yeah,
because
I thought that
you hear that you get the story multiple different times, like in The Last Duel, it tells it multiple times. It's repetitive.
I see what you mean. Yeah. I was thinking it was mostly the writing style. As I was reading it, I felt like for some reason the writing style made it like just kind of boring to read instead of like as suspenseful as it could have been. But maybe it was because of like I saw the plot faster in the movie.
Yeah, because I liked the writing style. It really sucked me in and made me like believe that these characters writing this stuff as they would write it. It is of the kind of writing you expect of that era
Yeah,
of just
kind
like
of
long
high
and
romance
flowy. Yeah,
almost,
yeah, it's like unnecessarily long,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
it's their
and
diaries. Yeah,
expanded
so that makes sense.
writing. But yeah, I actually did really like it, and actually I could have rated it a lot higher than
book?
9. The book, yeah.
There's not much room higher than 9.
I know there's not, but because the part that I liked the beginning part, and it actually lost me a little bit when it became more fantastical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when Borden, right? Yeah, Borden. I get them mixed up. You know why I get here's before I get into that, why I get them mixed up now a little bit, because going into the book, I did know that Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale were in the movie. I didn't know who they were.
So you pictured them
I
as the
pictured
wrong
them
one?
opposite.
That's perfect. It was a trick.
Yeah. So that's why I get them a little bit mixed up. But Borden, when he goes to see Tesla in the U.S. and the magic is introduced, the actual real magic through science, to me that was a little, okay, all right. You know, it kind of knocked it down a little bit. It came back towards the end. Because I liked the concept, but it could have been higher. I don't know I can't give you like what would have made it better, because that's a plot point.
something?
You know, I can't give
Yeah.
you a different. No, not the ending. Just that middle part. Like if the
middle
magic
part,
was
yeah, yeah.
something else, or if it was kept a little mysterious, maybe. I don't know. I can't tell you what the correction would be. It's just all I can tell you is when I got to that part, I was a little bit let down.
Makes sense. They kind of reveal the trick, which is what
I guess that's
ruins
what it is.
a trick.
Because
Yeah, you're
up to
not
that
supposed
point,
to
I'm like
know.
interested, going like, what is it? What
Yeah.
could the trick be? And then, oh, okay.
Yeah, you know,
Which is, it's cool, you know. I think
I
that
like
it's actual
that
magic like that.
part of it. Yeah, that's an interesting part of it. The whole Tesla thing and the fact that it's Tesla, who was a real person, is interesting. Makes it like historical fiction. What I was gonna say is I was interested in the book when I started it because it introduces something. Well, there's something that they took out for the movie, which is that the ancestors.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like the
the
different
book is kind of
timelines.
framed that way. It's framed as starting out with their ancestors meeting up.
Yeah.
And then it tells their stories, and then it goes back to that.
It does at the
which
end.
That's an interesting ending to me. Like that.
Yeah, I wish it
still
was in
there.
there more. Yeah, I had a question about the ending because, so Angier splits himself, like he
Yeah.
clones himself, but they're like both
only
dying.
halfway.
Yeah, they're like halfway, two half people. And the last diary entry you get from him is he's thinking, oh, you know, one
He's
of
going
them
to try to
dies.
recombine
Yeah,
himself.
at the funeral, he's going to try and shoot himself, project himself back
Yeah.
into the body, and maybe it will bring him back to life.
Yeah.
So that was obviously successful. But what?
Oh, that's
Right?
not how I took it.
No?
Maybe, but yeah.
Oh,
I thought he just was unsuccessful. He missed, or it didn't work, and he was
And
still
that's
just
why
spirit
he's alive.
person.
Okay.
Because I took it as, so what happened when he split, right, is one of him had his physical body, but like did not have his health. He was
Oh,
wasting
yeah, he's
away.
dying.
The other one couldn't touch anything, couldn't interact
Oh,
with
so
the
he's
outside
like a
world,
ghost.
but he was like immortal.
okay.
He like had the utmost health, and that's what
Yeah.
happened. That's how it was split. So he needed to try to combine them back together.
That makes me like
But I
the
think
ending more. That
Yeah.
that answers my question because my question was like, okay, he shot into the body, so he brought him back to life. Why is
How
he still alive?
I think it's because it didn't work, and then he was just
Yeah.
like, I must live down here forever as a specter.
Yeah, I can't live in the world amongst
Yeah.
people. I like that ending then.
Yeah,
was
I
just
did. I
confused
liked the
about it.
ending. I think I wrote down just like the ending is seriously crazy. Is what I was like.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like even now that I understand it in that way, it's kind of like a, I don't know, ghost story ending.
Yeah, and so you're right. And then so I guess we could go back and forth about what we did and didn't like. Specifically, I liked the book better. The fact that, so in the movie, the way that the teleportation, the switching works is slightly different.
Yeah.
In the book originally, the original body dies.
Yeah.
there, and it's dead, and then he has to deal with a bunch of these already dead bodies. The bodies just die immediately, which and then the movie, the original body is not dead, and it has to drop down into a tank of water and get killed.
Yeah, like the first time he does it, he makes a copy and then he shoots his copy because he's like scared.
Which to me, because I liked that part so much in the book, and I liked in the book that it took a little bit to like understand what it meant, because it doesn't outright say it. It calls the dead body the prestige materials.
Yeah, and like he's going down to that basement or whatever it was to look at the prestige materials.
Yeah, and at first I didn't really know what that meant, and then I was like, oh, it's just like he's just storing all the dead bodies.
Away the bodies, yeah.
And then that was interesting at the end too, when his ancestor goes into that mausoleum or whatever, the crypt area, and they're just there. They're all like tagged with the show that they're from, and they're all like posed in whatever like position that they were in. That was weird to me. It's not like they just like crumple into a dead body. They're just like stuck, and he tried to like move them, and they like bounce back to that. It's just weird, you know.
It's a weird idea. That reminds me of I liked the concept of the movie from the beginning, which is a little bit different, where it starts with the court case, where it's like you see Rupert Angier die in the tank, and then Borden's in the courtroom. And I thought it was going to be more like this courtroom drama where they pick apart the thing. It didn't become that, but I don't know. I still liked the way the movie kind of goes through time after you know the ending. And then, I don't know, because then you get to realize that he is alive still, because you think he's dead from the beginning, that you already know the ending. And one thing that I kind of saw coming in the movie, but not exactly, was that... I forget his name. The other guy, the other Christian Bale, like they're twins, but one of them dresses up as his assistant. At one point watching it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that is played by Christian Bale too. I think that's Christian Bale.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why they would do that. I didn't guess like, that's a twin and that's how he does it. But at one point I was like, I think that's going to be revealed to be, I don't know. But I didn't see it coming. So it kept me guessing, is what I liked about the movie.
And that, I think, from what I recall, and tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think that was ever officially revealed in the book that there was a twin. I think it was heavily suspected, and that must have been what it was, but he never was able to tell for sure. It was always like, if he was a twin, he would have had to, have the twin would have had to have the second life and all this stuff.
That's true. They don't reveal it like you see them both. That is interesting about the book, because I thought it was interesting after watching the movie that toward the beginning it starts talking about the twin theory. Like from the beginning, the ancestor has the twin feeling, and then it becomes a theory throughout that maybe he has a twin.
But the twin feeling of that is interesting, right? Because the reason he has the twin feeling is because he went through and got duplicated. That's what I thought.
Oh yeah, because
as a kid, he got thrown into the to the machine.
Yeah.
His dad took him there to see the machine.
So he died, really, and
he died,
the
and he's the duplicate.
Yeah. That part was interesting. That was an interesting backstory that was new to me reading the book. Yeah,
because that's what he was going down into the crypt to do. Is he was being called by his dead body self, and he went down and he took himself out. He grabbed his old body, his twin body or whatever, his duplicate body, and took it out of there.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, now that we've talked about it, I feel like I probably underrated the book. Maybe you underrated the movie?
I think so. Well, clearly I think that I did. With the audience and the critics have it higher than I did. And the audience loves this movie, basically.
I know.
That's
really high.
And I kind of thought it was pretty mediocre, kind of okay. So,
but you usually like Christopher Nolan movies too, right?
I know. Yeah, well, usually, and I did not really like this one. I don't know that I would never need to watch this movie again. And I think part of it is because there was no mystery to it at all. And that's a big thing about Christopher Nolan movies, is putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
And then, this is the, big reveal moment or something about what's going on. And I didn't have any of that.
That's true. I think what I would have liked more about the movie is if it had, I don't know, maybe a different conclusion. And also, I don't know, maybe if it even leaned into the comedy of it more, because there were some parts I thought were funny, like when they keep trying to duplicate each other's tricks, and it's like what is it called? The disappearing man? No, the teleporting man?
Well, the transported man.
The transported man, then the new transported man, and then the original transported man.
Yeah,
or
in the
whatever.
movie they called them. They were different because in the book the real transport one was called In a Flash, I think.
Oh yeah,
it was just transported man, new transported man, and then In a Flash.
That's what I mean. In the movie, I thought some parts were funny when when Angier gets, like, he's copying it, and then they hand him the newspaper where Borden's doing it again, and it says the original transporting man. He's like,
yeah,
like, because it's such a silly feud, and they take it so far
Yeah.
in the movie, like, to kill each other and frame each other, and then the conclusion is just like, but we do it for the audience, for the gasp, and I'm like, that's your whole life? You got obsessed over this just for that? Like, I wish
yeah.
there
Well,
was
I
a
mean, their
different...
feud started because
there's more serious stuff. He kills his wife,
yeah.
and in the book, it's like more of a kills the baby because
Yeah.
the wife was pregnant.
Yeah, and it's like an accident. So, like, in the book, it's like, none of this is needed to happen. It's so unfortunate that they're feuding, and then
because they both love
each
magic.
of them independently tries to kind of not feud at one point, and then not at the right times, and the other one's still mad about it, and they still have to keep doing it.
That's true. That makes it more of just a tragedy.
Yeah, and then like when he when Rupert stops Borden in the middle of when he does that, it's an accident, too, in the book. He didn't mean to. He's just down there and it's getting all like cloudy and smoky, and he's like, I can't breathe, and he just turns off the thing,
Yeah.
Turns off the switch of the electricity, and he gets caught halfway.
That's true. Yeah, I think even toward the end, after there's the ghost version, he was like trying to go back to apologize, because he did that on accident, and he was like, I'll run into him, but it was like a ghost version, and
and then basically in the book it turns out that he probably died. That's the suspicion, right? Is that it was definitely twins, and the biggest evidence for that is when Borden goes to see Angier as or do I have it the wrong way? No, that's it, right? No, Angier sees Borden, because Angier is the one who is duplicated. I think I've been saying that the wrong way the whole time.
Really? I've been following you.
When Angier is spectral person, he goes with a knife into the dressing room and tries to stab Borden. And is sort of not successful when he sees how like frail he is about the fact that he's that way because he's like upset that he like basically probably killed Angier or something on accident.
So he feels bad too.
But at that point, it's either at that point he gets weakened and then later has a heart attack. Borden does.
Yeah.
But then it seems like all of that is erased, and then he just comes back. Borden comes back. Like, remember, he's like taken to the hospital, like, and they said that he died.
Oh yeah.
But then he's just back. And that's the evidence that for them for sure being a twin.
I think the twin died because he must have died from that. Yeah, but he's still there.
Anyway.
Yeah. Ready for final recommendations?
I think we're ready for final recommendations. On this one,
this is going to be hard. I mean, what I was thinking is watch the movie because it's a good Christopher Nolan movie. And, I would say skip the book, but it seems like it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
so.
I think in light of that, I'm not going to change because my recommendation is the opposite. It's
read the book only.
Read the book only and don't watch the movie. Because I think what we are dealing with here is one of them spoils the other one.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to decide which one you want to do first. Because if you watch the movie, you probably shouldn't read the book. If you read the book, you probably shouldn't watch the movie.
And if you do, maybe put a long time between it.
Yeah.
Like if you saw the movie when it came out in 2006 and you barely remember it, maybe read the book and it will be more interesting. Or vice versa. If you read the book in the 90s, it's from the 90s, right?
95.
95? Yeah. If you read it back then and you haven't seen the movie, maybe just watch that. I don't know. Be careful, it seems like, is our combined recommendation. All right, now that we gave our final recommendation, it's time to see if the book and movie are underrated or overrated.
Yeah,
Starting with the
so
book.
yeah, we'll start with the book. I gave it a 9.
I gave it a 6.3.
That averages a 7.65.
Pretty good score.
Yeah, and the Goodreads score out of 10 was a 7.82. So that's a little overrated, but not a lot. It's pretty close.
We could almost call that properly rated.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah.
We'll call it
It's a new
properly
category.
rated for the book.
Rated. As for the movie, I gave that an 8.6.
And I gave it a 6.8.
Uh-huh.
And that averages out to a 7.7.
Similar score.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we we were pretty flip-flopped on this one.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much spot on with the
critics gave
score.
it a 76, so critics have it properly rated.
Yeah.
But the audience have it overrated.
Yeah.
With a 92.
Quite a bit overrated.
Yeah.
It's closer to your score, but still over yours.
It's over mine, yeah. I would put it between the critic and audience, but I mean, in a way, we can say they're both properly rated.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, then next up, we need to do our ongoing ranking to see where these land on the full list of everything we've read and watched, yeah?
So they come in right next to each other at number 10 and 11.
Okay, out of how many things have we done
out
so
of
far?
26.
Out of 26? Okay, so they're actually, in the middle, but slightly on the upper end.
Yeah, they're on the upper end, a little bit out of the top third, right underneath Bullet Train, the book, and right above Bullet Train, the movie.
Interesting, right in the middle of the
Bullet Train.
Yeah. Huh. Before we go, remember that we have some books of our own, so look down in the description. We'll have links to where you can order our books. Follow us on Instagram to stay tuned. And next month?
Yeah, watch out for next month. We're going to be reading and watching N.W., book by Zadie Smith, and then
the BBC original movie.
TV
movie adaptation.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you want to read and watch, N.W. is next month. All right, viewer, you tell me, which is better, the book or the movie?
Let us know in the comments below. Stay tuned by clicking the bell. Subscribe to this channel.
And tell your friends to tune in too. Click another video now. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.